get him to cry. And that wasn't so much my goal as it was for him to be touched on an emotional aspect of you don't have no defense. You can't mark me as one of these people that has it out for you. You can't mark me as you was disrespecting me, so I disrespected you. And coming from that platform to have the conversation, it was amazing for me to see, just him having the opportunity to open up. This kid that a lot of people may think from the outside is, oh, well, he's untouchable. He don't want to do no better anything because he just panics and tries to avoid any type of connection. We get him talking into the office and into my office, and he's just really talking about the fear of leaving. He can so vividly remember his dad walking out.
That's
he can remember all the family members that he lost, how many times people gave up on him on a misunderstanding, the times that he was lied on. And it just built, like I said, a jaded position for him of I will never allow anybody to put me in a position where I'm afraid to lose something. Because if I don't care, that's the falseness that they've accepted. If I don't care, then I'm safe. If I stay numb, then I'm safe. So we got a whole generation of kids that are trying to avoid pain only to incur more injury. So they're more broken and more damaged by the second. But they feel better because they really feel like I can avoid this pain. And, that feeds right into abusive relationships. It feeds right into, alcohol and drug abuse. And definitely. I believe that, we go about this in the wrong way. Instead of viewing these issues as a cry for help, we criminalize it. You got a young man that's, smoking weed, and he's automatically marked as, a criminal or whatever the case may be, or a bad kid. I'm thinking, like, have you ever, stopped to consider maybe that's his self-medication? Now, I'm not trying to excuse, the behavior or anything, but how is he any different from an adult that's had a hard day and they got to have a beer?
Yes. Yeah.
And that's kind of the focus that we're trying to approach and start the communication with these young people.
I like that, though, because a lot of times, though, man, we see the end result, but we don't never see how they got there. We don't never see the symptom. We don't never see, okay, we see that. And so it's big of you, and that's a lot of wisdom.
But we don't look at the root.
Exactly. So that's wise of you, though, to be able to even know what to say to reach these people on their level where so many people say there's no help. I've done all I can do. I've said all I can say. So for you to have that's a God-given talent, though, because, again, most people give up so easy, and that's the reason why everybody does have their guard up when it comes to caring, because, okay, I'll say this a lot. Love is often imitated, seldom demonstrated. So a lot of people, they hear people say how they feel about them, but they very rarely see it. And so they are on guard when someone's saying, I really care. So you do have to prove it, and you have proven it. And so that just opens the floodgate for more people to trust what you're saying, because you true to what you're talking about. You're not coming judgmental. You're not coming, looking at them as if you got all your stuff together. You coming from them from real, true life experience, and that has to be respected. As you said earlier, they may not necessarily like it, but they have to eventually respect it because your reality is coming from a real point as well.
Oh, most definitely. And I think that's a huge misconception. That, our young people don't want structure, that they don't want to be told anything, things of that nature. They just tired of being lied to. Unfortunately,
very true.
I'm not a fan of the school system. You got young kids, even in the middle school, I'm running in the 7th and 8th graders that are trying to hide the fact that they can't read in the 7th and 8th grade through behavioral problems. And, by us not recognizing that it's way easier to, become the trouble kid that throws his paper and say, I'm not going to do this, and walk out and have girls chasing after him, than it is to stand up in front of his peers and say, you know what, I really can't read.
Yes, sir.
And that's the element where we're really failing on so many positions. You look at things like special education, or, in Texas we have I don't know if it's nationwide, but I know in Texas we have the No Child Left Behind.
Yeah,
and I hate that. Basically, you can't fail a kid.
Yes, just push them on through. They call it push through.
You keep pushing them through the system, but that's where you get 7th and 8th. You do the double sword. You're making it prime and ready for the school to prison pipeline, because you are pushing kids through that are using a fake behavioral issue to cover up their inability to learn in a way or the form of fashion that's being presented to them, and then you hold them back with not being able to get a diploma because they didn't pass the standardized testing. Now I move you to the next grade, but I haven't made sure that you're ready for the next grade. So the aspect of work? That's a good question. It does.
How does that work?
And that's the school system that we're operating in right now.
Yes, sir.
And I believe that, because as a community, we're not making our presence known. And people will quickly try to point at the administration of the school. They'll quickly try to point at, the teachers and things of that nature. Vice versa, sometimes the finger be pointed directly at the student. But, I'm not interested in pointing fingers. I'm interested in calling accountability to us as a community. Because, we'll talk about a teacher, but when was the last time you made sure a kid had a book in his hand instead of the new iPhone? When is the last time we
said that again, brother? Say that again.
I just had a post on my timeline that caused a lot of ruckus because I was just referring to, the situation with Donald Trump and the, comments that he made. And then I put accountability and say, for ladies that were upset about the things that Donald Trump said, do you feel that same way about Empire, Power? Do you feel that same way about Bad Girls Club, Love and Hip Hop, and things of that nature?
You did have a lot of traction on that.
They tried to take the route of, well, he's a president. I said, I don't care if he was a porn star. My whole question was, are you upset with, what's done? Like, are you upset with the content, or are you just upset because of who said it? And that's what I'm trying to clarify. But a lot of them, they refused to enter the conversation, and a lot of people got defensive and angry. And then, I had a follow-up post that said, it's sad that a lot of us will fight harder for our media choice than we will for our kids. When the last time you've been to a PTA meeting? And I said, some of y'all will try to fight this, and some people will take the initiative to find out when the next meeting is.
See,
that's why I want to have you on.
That's why I want to have you on, bro. Because I love your insight and the way you think, and the whole platform of Think About It Radio is solution-oriented radio, right? We dissect the issues, we talk about the problem, but we also talk about practical solutions that everyone walking away from an interview or a conversation can say, you know what, I can do that. And then we eventually get to where we have to go. But again, we do got a long way to go. But as you say, we stalled out along the way because self-accountability, that's been kind of thrown by the wayside. And we have, selective anguish or anger and it's just distributed in the wrong areas, I think.
Most definitely. And, a lot of times we go through the path of least resistance, or we simply don't think. I think that's the number one obstacle.
Yes.
And probably one of the biggest focuses on the actual program from Boys and Gentlemen is encouraging critical thinking. The activity that we did last week, we're talking about conflict resolution. And so what I did was, I put the young men in situations where, we wrote stuff down on sticky notes and we stood in front of each other. It was common phrases, how you get fights started, or, what type of things that are said to get things off the topic. And basically, after we wrote those down, I told them, look, now here's the thing. You got this sticky note, but you have to express this to me with not saying one thing on this paper. So you had to actually change the wording. And so they got up there, and, they're supposed to be heated with one another. And it was kind of like, well, it may say something like, I want to, man, I'm finna bust your head. Okay, you can't use any of those words.
Yeah.
Sir, prepare for your cranium to be cracked.
I like that.
That doesn't hold the same, even if you quick enough to get that out, that doesn't hold the same response because, number one, it's more than likely they don't understand what you're saying. You're going to do what? Hold on, I don't know what the block high or low. I just heard crack, and it just comes to that perspective of after we finish with the activity, the dialogue of them being able to express how they felt. Us going into conflicts that they have gotten into. What could have been, like you said, the solution to that? Do you think that you helped to hurt the situation? Was the fight worth it? What did you feel like you really benefited from the fight? Because you never really called into answering those questions, because we have an instant ready manhood badge that if I whoop that tail, there's no questions after that. He got that tail whooped. He was talking mess and he got whooped. Well, okay, well, let's take it a step past that. He was talking mess, you whooped that tail, then what? Exactly. What do you mean, then what? I whooped that tail. Okay, then what? There's often times where that overshadows any type of repercussion that came from behind it. So they feel justified in going to the next aspect of punishment. Even if they go to jail, it's like I am more honored in causing physical harm to this person than looking at the fact that, I did kind of cry when I was in JDC. I was stuck in the jail cell for 2 weeks away from my family. I did have my freedom taken away. I know I don't want to go back there, but the second I get out of that environment, I'm already going to be robbed of that experience, because I'm going to have all these people that's going to be boosting me up. Yes, all these people that's going to show me how many hits my Instagram got from the fight, or how many shares that I got from it. And it's that culture that strips us from any type of accountability as a people, because we show more interest. We show more support for ignorance and for foolishness. We love drama.
Why
if you say that you don't love drama, it's more than likely that you're lying. That's why we watch the things that we watch. That's why we go after the things that we do. If I put out for people to say they don't do drama, if I put out a TV show that's simply going around the schools highlighting the positive things that young African-American males are doing, it's not going to last long.
Your show
now,
will go
if I go around and start a YouTube channel about fights, I'm going to get 1 billion hits.
World star.
Yeah, it's going to be straight world star. And until we deal with that aspect of culture and stop presenting, we're trying to force feed principles that we don't support. And I think that's what frustrates me the most, is like we're quick to talk about reading, but when is the last time your child saw you read a book? Because I hear that all the time. Like, you need to you get a book as you flip back to Empire or hit your DVR.
Yes.
And it's just that whole element, that notion, especially for millennials, that notion of do as I say and not as I do, that's out of there, homie.
You're right. You're right.
That's not going. That worked for our grandparents.
Yeah, respect.
And it only worked to a certain degree with them because they had the structure, they had the community, and I think that's the ultimate thing that will really elevate us as a people. And I'm not just talking about African Americans. I'm not just talking about white or any. As a people, until we begin to establish community, until we begin to replicate some of the solutions that other well-off communities have done. You look at something as simple as when crime happens in a financially wealthy neighborhood, you don't see that on the news.
No, sir.
You don't see that in the newspaper. If something happens, you're not talking to that person first. The lawyer is there first.
Yes.
So if we don't start to replicate that aspect of community where we're not going to whogotbusted.com. We're not running out and trying to, portray like here's just another ignorant person that's out here that committed a crime and now blast your face over everything. I look at that the same way you see things like Maury. Everybody laughs at the, response of who the daddy and who not the daddy.
Yes, sir.
But do we ever stop to think about the kid?
Nope. Not one time.
Do we ever stop to think about the first reaction this kid is going to be able to see? The first reaction to the person that's responsible for half of his chromosomes was absolute, shattering pain. So I'm bawling, I'm crying. I talked down to your mama. I called you a lie. I said I wasn't your daddy. And then after all is said and done, I fall into tears, and I'm devastated at the fact that I found out that I'm your father. How is a child supposed to process it?
How's it supposed to feel?
And if you got a crowd full of people that are cheering, yelling, and laughing, what does that teach our youth?
Nothing much positive at all.
Ooh. Yeah, so, we're really just trying to focus on, as you said very clearly, on the solution aspect of it. And I strongly believe solution comes with starting the conversation.
Yeah.
Solution comes with, the patience of just being present. And, even with From Boys to Gentlemen, I have curriculum. I have, I have my opportunity for public